Welcome back, Tiger Tamers. I am Lupine Fiasco, and this is Daily FaB Gameplay. For anyone who's new to the channel, welcome to a state of zen. What we do here is review replays of games that I have played on the Talishar client days or weeks ago after enough time has passed that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I'll talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the line I would take now compared to the line I took then at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down paper events like the upcoming ProQuest season and, most importantly, walk away with that shiny cardboard. If you would like to check out the list I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaB deck link in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. The best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a Patreon link is also in the video description. A Patreon subscription will get you access to the DFG Discord and the shiny cardboard Talishar card back. At higher tiers, your name will appear in every DFG video, you'll get bonus DFG content every week, and there are even more benefits to come. Daily FaB gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so for those who can afford to patronize me, I truly appreciate it. And if you just want memes and rambling, follow me on X. Now, without further ado, let's talk about our sideboard and about our game plan. Just as a little disclaimer here at the start, this video was recorded before Monday, July 1st, so if there were any bans or suspensions that affected Zen, I did not know about them when I recorded this video or this game, so please don't flame me if you spot banned equipment or cards in my list. We are playing against Levia in this game. We've won the die roll. We will be choosing to go second. This is an aggro mirror. And especially with Levia being constructed the way she is, Levia doesn't get to do a lot on her first turn. She has to load her graveyard with cards to banish to her Boneyard Marauders, Dread Screamers. All of her big attacks usually want her to banish cards from her graveyard, so her turn one is going to be a Smashback Alehorn or an Agile Windup discard, and that's kind of it. So we really are under no pressure from her on turn one. There is no downside to going second, and it even puts us into that position in the aggro mirror to get tempo by forcing her to block, and she does not get to draw up. So we are going to go second here. We will be boarding for the aggro mirror. In this case, I am running Talishar. I've really been liking Talishar compared to Double Needle. I can see the benefit of Double Needle. Talishar has some benefits to it as well, namely that it cannot be broken by defending cards. So if you do happen to catch your opponent with an awkward hand, they don't get to convert those 3 blocks into breaking your Zephyr Needles. Generally, in shorter games like the aggro mirror, you will not miss your 4th Talishar attack. The game will end before you could get to a point where you would want to attack with it for a 4th time, so the fact that it breaks after 3 attacks really is not relevant. As far as the 80, we are boarding out 3 Harmony of the Hunts for 3 Command and Conquers. I've since revised that sideboard plan. I do cut Spinning Wheel Kick if I need to bring in a CNC or a Blanche. In a vacuum, Spinning Wheel Kick is a better card than Harmony of the Hunt. It is a 1 for 4 rather than a 1 for 3 that potentially gets a 4th point of power from the Tiger if you have a buff effect active or your Tiger Stripe Shuko. But in the larger context of what Zen is trying to do, the fact that Harmony of the Hunt gives you a Tiger is much better. It turns on your Chase the Tail. It gives you a attack to banish to Art of War. It turns on your Shuko. At the very least, it is a card to bottom to Enlightened Strike, or it's just something to put into your arsenal. I think overall, Harmony of the Hunt is a better card, though it is certainly more awkward at times when you do just need that 4th point of power, or when you want something to tutor out with Zen or with Bonds of Ancestry. Also worth noting is that this list is using Wind Chakra and This Round's on Me compared to Shifting Winds of the Mystic Beast and Blue Harmony of the Hunt. At this point, I am back on Evan Herndon's first place U.S. Nationals list. I think Wind Chakra is definitely a worse card than Blue Harmony of the Hunt. This Round's on Me probably has a lot of upside if you are playing in a Zen-heavy meta, but if your local meta has a wide array of heroes, and not all of them necessarily go super wide on their turns, then Shifting Winds does have some upside compared to This Round's on Me, whereas This Round's can be actively detrimental against certain classes like Guardian, Brute, potentially even Assassin. So those are changes that I would make to the 80 and the 60. Our game plan is just racing. Levia is going to be throwing a lot of damage at us. She is a Brute, and she can utilize 2 cost 6s with Disruption, so we need to be aware of the potential for Command and Conquer, Amnesia, Weakest Link, Send Packing as a 3 for 6 that actually has the Brute type line to combo with Blood Rush Bellow. But for the most part, what Levia is doing is just a bunch of damage. We need to be aware that if we put her close to 13, but not past 13, then she has the potential to flip into Blasmfet. At the same time, if we are doing our Zen things and getting her to 13 quickly, it could be that her Banish Zone has almost nothing in it, or maybe 1 or 2 attacks, and she doesn't really get to utilize the bonus of Blasmafet, in which case we're totally fine if she flips because she only gets 4-card hands anyway. That's a lot to consider playing against Brute, and especially Levia. Let's just jump into the game and see how it all comes together for us. At the outset here, our hand is pretty good. We do get to Transcend. There's no reason to do it on turn 0. We could play our Sacred Art if we really wanted to. We would only get to choose one of the modes instead of all 3. But if we really wanted to have a Chi in our opening hand, we could do so. Now, we don't, because what we get to do on our first turn is play Rising Sun, Setting Moon, and then pitch Gust Wave into Sacred Art. We'll generate 2 resources. We will make 3 Tigers, 2 from Sacred Art and 1 from pitching into Zen. The card that we will want to grab once we have pitched into Zen is Chase the Tail. And we can even make an extra resource here. It doesn't really matter. Sorry, I should have reviewed that Rising Sun, Setting Moon drew us a blue Gust Wave, which we chose to bottom because we don't need it. We will pitch one of our Chi into Zen. We will use the other Chi to pay for Chase the Tail and Talishar. We've gained the first resource from Kasaya. I'm choosing no here. There really isn't a reason not to get the second resource, but there also isn't a reason to get the resource. Because I'm going to get Chase the Tail, our floating resource already pays for it, and our extra Chi will pay for Talishar. There was a potential reason to keep that Descendant Gust Wave, which is, it is something we don't mind arsenaling if Levia flesh bags here. Whereas if Levia does get one of our Chi, then we actively don't want to put it into Arsenal, so we either take an intellect penalty or we have to pitch it into Kasaya, which this early is pretty bad. So that would have been something to consider. The other thing we would have considered is not generating any resources from Kasaya, so that we can pitch our second Chi into Chase the Tail immediately. Now that being said, Levia does have a window here where she would be able to flashback before we can pitch our Chi to Chase the Tail. At the same time, if Levia is going to put a flashback into a 1-power Tiger on turn 2, that's just a pretty good situation for us to be in. Overall, I am not expecting Levia to flashback here at all. But even so, if I am considering this turn now, I would have, instead of bottoming our Descendant Gust Wave, I would have bottomed the second Chi. The second Chi being Chi doesn't do anything for us, we just need it to be a blue. At this point, we have a question between attacking with Tiger Swipe or attacking with Crouching Tiger. I believe it is better for us to attack with Tiger Swipe. It only comes in for 4, so it is more easily blocked by armor. But if we keep a Crouching Tiger in our hand, we only have a 50% chance to lose our energy to a Flesh Bag rather than a 100% chance. At the same time, I still don't think Levia is going to give us Flesh Bag here. So correctly making that prediction, but definitely a misplay not keeping that Descendant to pay for Talishar, because if Levia had Flesh Bagged, we're not happy to lose our blue. We send the Crouching Tiger for 1 instead of Talishar for 4, but at the bare minimum, we are not potentially taking that intellect penalty. So at this point, we either have Tiger for 1 into Talishar for 4, or Talishar for 4 Arsenal Tiger. I really prefer to Arsenal the Tiger here. We still have 2 Chase the Tails in our deck. We get potential Shuko bonuses from this Tiger. Losing out on 1 point of damage in order to get an Arsenal just seems a lot better than not having the Arsenal. Or just seems worse than not having the Arsenal. I would rather have an Arsenal. Levia Art of Wars into +1 draw 2. Using the agility from her last turn to get Go Again. We have a Graveling Growl coming in for 8 with Go Again. 8 is a big scary number, but we are at 40 and there is no disruption tied to this Graveling Growl, so we are just going to say no blocks and wait to see what Levia does next. If it is a Send Packing or a Command and Conquer or an Amnesia, we can deal with it then. Instead, we have an Endless Maw coming in for 10. So we now have a question. Are we going to break our Traverse? Are we going to break our Stride? Or are we just going to use the cards we have available? The highest value turn that I can see here, if we do not block with armor, so if we just keep the 5 cards we have, our highest value line is to block Endless Maw with This Round's on Me and Levels of Enlightenment. We take 4 from the Endless Maw, and on our turn we E-Strike for 7. Overall, we're getting 13 points of value out of 4 cards, which is above rate, but barely, certainly below Zen's rate. If we block with Traverse, we take 8 points of damage, but we get a Chi, and what we can do with that Chi is pitch it into Zen to get Bonds of Ancestry and a Tiger. We pitch our This Round's on Me to play Descendant Gust Wave for 1. We follow that with Bonds of Ancestry for 4, and we are able to tutor Chase the Tail out of our deck. We then get to play the Tiger that we have created with Zen, which would come in for 1 because of the Shuko. Chase the Tail comes in for 4 with Go Again. Play our Tiger from Arsenal for 3 with Go Again. Then we get to play our Levels of Enlightenment. Levels comes in for 3 with Go Again and draws us a card. And then depending on the card we draw, we can either play that and Arsenal Enlightened Strike, or end on E-Strike for 5, bottoming the card we drew and drawing a card. So overall, if we do break our Traverse to find that Chi, to pitch into Zen to get Bonds, we are coming in for Descendant for 1, Bonds makes 5, Tiger makes 6, Chase the Tail makes 10, Tiger makes 13, Levels makes 16, and then assuming we E-Strike for 5, that makes 21, with a card in Arsenal that isn't a Crouching Tiger. So if we block with Traverse, we are getting 10 points of value out of it, and 8 points more than our 4-card 13 here. So if I'm making this call now, I am blocking with Traverse Fleshbag has the potential to impact this damage, but at the same time, we're getting a Fleshbag on not an Art of War turn, and that sounds pretty good. So if I'm making this call now, it's block with Traverse, send the 21 damage line that gives us an arsenal. What I choose to do instead is take the 4-card 13, which I don't believe is necessarily wrong. We keep our Traverse, we still have it for a future turn. We can potentially pair it with Stride on a big Art of War. But overall, I think the value lost here is greater than what I would have liked to give. We get 2 cards out of Levia, hit her for 1, and then pass the turn. The hand we draw into is really not incredible, and we start to see how Wind Chakra not being something like Harmony of the Hunt is definitely bad. What we can do with this hand is transcend. So if we play our Tiger from Arsenal, if we lead with Wind Chakra, then play our Tiger from Arsenal, we attack for 1. In the resolution of that link, we play Drop in the Ocean, giving the Tiger -1 power. We create a Chi and a resource from Kasaya. We get to pitch, we get to play Art of War using that resource we generated. We can respond to that with Chi into Zen and find, probably Chase the Tail, but definitely something. Create that Tiger and then banish the Tiger to Art of War. But because we have led with a Tiger and are intending to find Chase the Tail with our Zen Tutor, that means that we want a guaranteed 3rd Tiger. We're playing a Tiger, we're creating a Tiger, but we are banishing the 2nd Tiger to Art of War. So if we want to guarantee that our Chase the Tail gets to actually give its power to something, rather than just lucking into an aspect of Tiger, we need to break Stride. So if I am blocking here, I am blocking with Stride, taking 2 points of damage, but making a Tiger in hand. I am then playing that Tiger from hand to play around potential Fleshbag. I see the same line in this game. Levia takes 2 points of damage from Blood Debt. We are leading with Wind Chakra, and then playing Crouching Tiger. I should not drop here. This was a result of me not understanding how Wind Chakra works. Wind Chakra, to give its 3 power, needs us to have already transcended. So with Wind Chakra and Drop in the Ocean, there was no way for us to get that bonus unless I was going to it wouldn't work. There's no way to make it work because we have to break the chain to play Wind Chakra. You cannot do it. And it speaks to why Wind Chakra is not necessarily the best card to have in Zen. So this was me trying to see how Wind Chakra works. I should not have done drop here because I am losing a point of damage on the Crouching Tiger. And now to get that point back, we have to Zen and play Art of War rather than holding on to it for a little bit longer. But at the same time, at the very least, we have at least taken the line I described where we play the Crouching Tiger from hand, which makes us Fleshbag resilient because we get to Zen for Chase the Tail. Chase the Tail lives in our Banish zone where it cannot be Fleshbagged, and our follow-up Tiger lives in Arsenal where it cannot be Fleshbagged. Unfortunately, we draw into 2 more blues, none of which are particularly good in this situation. I am going to play Chase the Tail here, and I am going to pitch this rounds on me, which I think is the worst of the 3 blues in our hand. Wind Chakra is a 0-cost blue that enables Transcend. Bonds of Ancestry, obviously very good when you combine it with Descendant Gust Wave. This round's on me pretty bad against Brute. Levia does not necessarily go wide enough that we are getting incredible value from this round's on me, and the damage she will gain from having another card in her hand is probably going to outweigh the damage this Rounds on Me prevents, which is a reason why you would not run this Rounds on Me compared to a Harmony of the Hunt or a Shifting Winds. So we do get a Husk block out of Levia. The reason that she would give us Husk and stay at 17 as opposed to giving us Leathers and going to 14 to prevent potentially flip into Plasma FaB. There are a number of reasons. Depending on her hand, she may be intending to turn off Blood Debt anyway and would want to get some value out of Husk rather than potentially none. The other is if I were to check on how much Blood Debt or what cards are in her Blood Debt. She only has 2 cards in her Banish with Blood Debt, and depending on what they are, if you check earlier in this video, you could see that. It is not going to set up for the big Plasma FaB endgame that Levia is looking for. She may want to buy more time to stack that Blood Debt to have a better transformation. So what are we going to put into our arsenal? I would like to put Bonds of Ancestry in arsenal. It is a little riskier to have it there in the face of a potential Command and Conquer or Send packing, but I would rather use my Wind Chakra for pitch than needing to play it. And if we arsenal Wind Chakra, we are now locked into needing to play it. We cannot pitch it. And having just drawn into Descendant Bonds, it would be very cool to be able to play this second Bonds of Ancestry rather than needing to pitch it. Levia gives us a second Blood Rush Bellow, which is pretty scary. We're looking at a Mandible Claw for 7, which we are not going to block. Again, this is just damage. We are at 26. We have multiple 3 blocks in hand. We have armor. We can afford to wait for potential disruption and then block that. Shadow Realm Horror comes down, which is potentially very scary, but it banishes 2 misses. And so Shadow Realm Horror is only getting +1 power rather than Go Again, and certainly rather than the ability to play another attack. So while this is big damage, it is not threatening lethal, and there is no follow-up to this. At this point, we are going to block with Traverse. What the Chi does for us is give us the ability to really tutor anything. So if we are pitching our Bonds of Ancestry, that is going to let us play Descendant Gustwave. We will have a resource to play Art of War, and we can play the Chase the Tail I would like to get off of Bonds. We will be able to pitch the Chi we get into Zen. That lets us find Aspect of Tiger Body and give us a Tiger that we can actually banish to the Art of War. So what this turn will ideally look like: pitch the Chi into Zen, get Aspect of Tiger Body, play Descendant Gustwave by pitching blue Bonds, use one of the 2 remaining resources to play Art of War, banishing Crouching Tiger from hand. We'll see what the 2 cards we draw are when we get them. Follow Descendant Gustwave with Bonds of Ancestry. Bonds finds us Chase the Tail. Now, at this point, we realize, well, we only had 1 Tiger and we banished it to Art of War. So Chase the Tail is not giving its effect to anything. But at the same time, because we get to follow the Bonds with Aspect of Tiger Body, we create a Tiger in Banish. We get to play that Tiger. We will have played our Wind Chakra, which gives the Tiger extra power. Chase the Tail is just 1 for 5 with Go Again. And we have 2 other cards in our hand to play out as well. At the bare minimum, pitching into Talishar. So while Chase the Tail is not the incredible bomb that we would like it to be because we don't have enough Tigers to make it that good, it's still 1 for 5 Go Again, and Levia is at 15 with 5 cards, 5 Blood Debt. So we're going to be okay. This is all to say we're blocking Traverse, we're getting our Chi, and we are going to pitch that Chi into Zen. Correctly starting with Wind Chakra here because we want to give our Crouching Tiger an additional point of power. we immediately screw up by pitching the Chi to the Descendant Gustwave. This play makes absolutely no sense to me. This is completely baffling because we are playing our Art of War, we're banishing a Bonds of Ancestry rather than a Crouching Tiger, and we didn't get to fix our draw. We're not getting to Zen. The Bonds is very limited. At a bare minimum, we get to see what we draw before we know what we're bonding for. But here now we're seeing, well, if we had pitched the Chi into Zen, we make our Tiger, we tutor an aspect of Tiger. We can do that before we attack, which means that we would have found this Ancestral Harmony, which we would get to play before our chain started. Really just a horrendous play on my part. I don't know why I did that. It could be that I was not aware at this point just how good Chi is when you have Descendant Gustwave and a blue in hand, but this is 100% a mistake. There is no redeeming factor to this play. This is just wrong and you shouldn't do it. So how do we salvage the play from here? We can still bonds. We can bonds for, I would have to see my graveyard again. I believe I'm going to click on it. The good news here is we have multiple blues in hand, so we at least get to attack with Talishar. We don't have anything in our graveyard that is worth bonding for, which means that what we will need to do is break the chain to put the Gustwave we just played into our graveyard. Our follow-up to that is going to be pitching Ancestral Harmony so that we can play the second Gustwave in our hand, follow that with Bonds. Bonds will tutor a red Gustwave, and then we follow up with Talishar. So overall, we are pushing, what is this, 2, 3, 2 plus 3 makes 5, 10, 14, 19 damage, which is still very good. Certainly going to put Levia into an awkward position. But we really had to bend over backwards to make this happen. And if we were comparing that to the theoretical damage that we get from a Art of War Ancestral Harmony Bonds turn with 4 combo cards on the chain, the damage is much, much better than what we got out of here. We still take cards from Levia. We are still forcing her to go down to 1. We are sitting at 10, effectively 14 with our armor. Levia even gives an entire card to make an agility, but just an incredible punt on my part. If you have Descendant Gustwave, Art of War, and a blue in hand, please do not use your Chi as pitch. Here we have a Boneyard Marauder coming in for 6. Blood Debt is off, so we just need to survive this turn and then crack back with Levia at 1, effectively 2. We are super good on damage. I would like to at least stay above 2 to play around Reckless Swing. So I cannot just block 6 with 4 from armor. I do need to give this round on me for 3. What that means I'm going to do is block with T-Rom and Shuko for a total of 5. We'll take 1 down to 3. On our turn, we will play 100 Winds for 1, get the Bone Breaker away from Levia. We will stir the pot, transcend, make a resource from Kasaya, pitch our Chi into Zen to find red 100 Winds. Red 100 Winds following blue 100 Winds attacks for 4. That gets 2 cards away from Levia. We use our floating resource to attack with Spinning Wheel Kick, which gets another 2 cards out of Levia. We arsenal our Crouching Tiger, and then Levia has no cards, passes her turn, and dies to Blood Debt. So correctly identifying that we should block 4 or 5 here. Playing 100 Winds. Would which gets blocked by Bonebreaker. We can Transcend in Resolution. There's no reason to do it as a reaction. We can just wait, withhold information from Levia. Just doing a quick graveyard check to make sure that we do in fact have 100 Winds in the deck. Hundred Winds attacks for 4, gets 2 cards from Levia. Playing the Crouching Tiger for no reason. It doesn't matter. The Spinning Wheel Kick is going to get 2 cards from Levia, and even in a world where she had a Sink Below and we only got 1 card from her, she cannot turn off Blood Debt with just 1 card and dies. Pitching a blue or a yellow into Mandible Claw, we can just block, go down to 1, and then Levia dies. So putting her down to 1 card does just kill her, but attacking with the Tiger is just silly. So a pretty low value Zen game from us if we're just looking at average value per turn. We were a little under 4 points per turn below Levia. Still managed to get there with just the sloppiest Art of War turn I've ever seen. That could have easily been Art of War, Ancestral Harmony, just insane damage, and instead punting incredibly by turning the Chi into Pitch instead of to Aspect of Tiger. Just horrendously bad. I would love to hear in the comments if you figure out the damage on that turn, just how much value I lost by not turning the Chi into Aspect of Tiger plus a Crouching Tiger in hand. But at the bare minimum, we do get there. Do feel like I made some correct plays in this game, but overall, definitely a lot to learn from this one, considering that I remember thinking at the time, wow, I played that pretty well. I don't know if this even needs to go on the channel. I'm certainly glad it did. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you learned something. If so, be sure to head jab that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It's free and helps me out. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Patreon. Those links are in the video description below. But no matter what you do, catch me back here next time for more daily FaB gameplay. And until then, take care.